we will have 2 hours, 2 hours on Civil 3D. You will get more information about surfaces. And if you cannot remember surfaces, we started last class. We talked about surfaces. And in today's class, to be honest, what I will do, because this is always a source of confusion, I will just remind you of what we covered the last class. So the last class, we were talking on how to create a surface. And surface creation typically starts after you import the points into Civil 3D. I have done this, and this is my data. Then say that's the same file that I used in the past. This is called PO123. So as soon as you bring in the points into the Civil 3D, you can right away create your surface. Now, the way we create the surface is always source of confusion, and I will tell you why. Because some students, they think it's a one step. However, creating a surface is a two-step process where first you need to do is you need to go to your tool space. You have to mark surfaces, then take a right click, and you can see among those commands on the very top, we have create surface. Let's do that. Create a surface. Now, at this stage, all you need is only one thing. That's the minimum, which is a name. Even the name is here, but please don't use this, default name. Just please rename it to a more descriptive name. In the last class, I think what I used EG, which is EG typically is used for existing ground. Okay, I don't have to worry about description for now. I don't have to worry about style for now. This is something we will talk more about today. So for now, let's go ahead and hit OK. And that's step number one. And please understand, after step number one, nothing has happened because we have created an empty surface, empty, because my surface exists right now, an empty container, but I haven't pushed anything into my surface. To build the surface, you must have or you must push some 3D information into your surface. How? Which is step number two. So I'm going right now to do step number two. So step number two is you need to go to your tool space, then expand surfaces. And you can see, here we go. This is the surface I created. At this point of time, the surface is empty. Then next is expand the surface, expand definition. And what we said in the last class, those are the several sources of data that you can feed into your surface. We talked briefly about them, but today you will get more and more about those different elements. I think what we've done last class is that we said there are two options when it comes to points. Point file, which is simply we can create our surface without physically importing the points to my Civil 3D. Or if you have already imported the points into Civil 3D, then you have your points within one point group and you can build your surface out of such point group. Let's do that. So now I have imported my points physically. And if I go to my tool space, my points are here into this point group here. So I'll come back here, click on point group. Then next is right click. So when you right click, it gives you the option to add what? Add a point group to the definition of the surface. Let's do it. So we go add, and you can see very simple. The software will show you all the point groups within this drawing where you can pick one or two or three or 100 and hit OK. My advice for you is please do not use underscore all points. Very dangerous. You go ahead and choose this. Although right now, both of them, they have the same content, but maybe in the future, if you add another point group, you know what happens, huh? So this extra point group will go into this point group which may not necessarily to be part of this surface here. So please choose this point group, then hit OK. Then what happens when you hit OK? As I said, couple of things, very important. Number one, and on the left here, you can see there is a new dot, which tells you that in this surface here, we have some point group. However, we don't have any boundaries, we don't have any break lines, nothing. So the only source of 3D information into this surface is point groups. You will see in another exercise today, we will add more things to our surface definition. Now, the other thing that happen is on the right side, we have created our surface, and you can see this is my surface, and this is my contour lines. Now, let's go ahead and look at the surface in terms of surface style. To look at the surface style, which is something we started already last class, please go to and click on EG, because that's the name of your surface. The next part is after you click on EG, which is the name of the surface that you want to control and play with. Next is you take a right click. There are some commands. We will use some of them today. Right now, what you have to do is you need to go to surface properties. Under surface properties, you can simply change the style. Let's do that. This is something we've done last class, and I'm going to move my window here. We said we can change name. We can add description if we want. And then finally, in this area here, we can play with the style. In the last class, I showed you and navigate with you through so many of those styles. I think including no display, where it hides all the surface. Border only, fantastic when you try to monitor the progress on a large scale project and see if they have made any gap. We have group of different styles with different combination of contour interval, 1 and 5 and 1 and 5 and 2 and 10. So those are different style. They show contour lines with different interval, and also they can also show with different color scheme. Also, we looked at this style, which is important because it creates or show you the triangles. And we talked last class about 10. Does anybody in this class remember the word 10? What does it refer to? T-I-N. I need your help, please. I
Triangulated irregular network.
Thank you, sir. So really the word 10, it refers to triangulated irregular network where there is a series adjacent triangle, and those triangle are 3D faces, and it creates, and that's the surface actually, it creates a continuous representation of the ground. So now after we build our surface, we've done something amazing. We went from just discrete point where we know the elevation where we placed our rod to something like continuous. Continuous means any point along the surface, we're able to find the elevation. Now, there is more discussion to this today. Like you can see there are some other styles, which some of them is great. But for now, what I will do is I'm going to give you on how to customize a new style to your needs. Okay, so let's put some target style, and you can write down if you wish. Okay, so let's write down that we want to create a new style where the interval is 0.5 meter, only 0.5 meter. And why 0.5? Because I want to go beyond what I have in Civil 3D. Civil 3D doesn't offer anything with 0.5 meter. Okay, so we'll go with 0.5 meter interval. That's number one. We will make our contour, the major is blue and the minor is green. Blue and green, that's for the color. And then finally, we will make our contour line very smooth. If you look at the background and look at the contour lines, currently the contour lines are very sharp. I'm hoping that you guys can notice that by looking at the background. Now let's do that. So you guys, by now, if you attended my class and you've done your exercise yourself, probably by now you can guess How can we do that? Number one is you need to pick any style that is very close to your final target style. You can see this one here. It says contours 1 and 10 background. So I could simply select this one, but I don't have to say okay because I don't want to apply this one. What I want is to copy current selection. And you guys know what to do, huh? So if you copy current selection, you will get here an exact copy of 1 and 5, and then we can play with it. Remember, the first thing you want to do is, before you forget, let's go ahead and change the name of the style. Remember that my style, I want to create a 0.5 meter interval, so this number should be zero point 0.5. And let me ask you, if this number is zero point 0.5, what do you think? What this number should be? Any help?
2.5.
Thank you, because we said the first number is the minor contour, the second number is the major contour, and the rule we know. The rule is the major contour is 5 times the interval, which means we leave 4 unlabeled or minor, and then the fifth one is a major. Thank you so much. Next is for the color scheme. I'm going to say here blue dash green, which means I'm going to make sure that my major contour is blue, my minor is green, and finally I'm going to remove the order copy and make it smooth. It means my contour lines will be very smooth. Now we have changed the name. Now time to change the function. And I can tell you, first of all, if you want to play with the color, you can see there are many tabs here. 1, 2, 3, are so many of them. Under every tab, there is some control for you. If you want to control colors, then you go to display. And you remember last class, we're able to go to here. And then what we did is we are able to turn off. If you remember, when I wanted to make a triangles like style, what I did is I just turned off my major and minor contour and I left the triangles and border. In today's class, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off triangles. I'm going to turn on my major, my minor. However, also in this window, you can control the color. How? Very simple, like AutoCAD. You go here on the major, you click on this guy here. It opens for you a color palette where you can say, please make it blue. Thank you. Okay. Next is minor. You come here, you click on this color palette. You say, I want to make it green. Okay, perfect. So now I have changed a couple of things. Major will be blue, minor is green. We want to change the contour interval. Can I ask you, anybody, to have a good guess which one you think that we can do or change the interval, contour interval? Take a smart guess, please. What do you think?
Contours.
Perfect. Contours. So if you go to contours, you can see here we have lots of variables that we can control our surface style. And it's very clear. It says here contour interval. All you have to do is you click on this plus sign. It simply shows you what are the current interval for the major and minor. You can see all you have to do is you come here and then you edit this number point 1, 2, you change it to point 0.5. And the good news is if you change your cursor, you can see automatically the major contour went to 2.5. Great. Now I'm going to minimize my interval. Remember, the last feature of my style is to make a smooth contour, very smooth. Do you see anywhere on this window that there is a potential that we can change the smoothness of my contour lines? Any help?
Contour smoothing.
You can see, thank you so much. There are a couple of places. So this one calls contour smoothing, and also down here, contour smoothing. However, you can see this part is disabled. You cannot change anything. So what's the secret? The secret is you need to come here, drop this menu, and you can see right now, smooth contours is set to false. And that's why, because it's false, this area here is deactivated. However, as soon as you drop this menu, you have two options. Whether false, it means don't, or you can turn into true. Please watch this. As I hit true, you can see this part here, it became active, it was enabled, and it's up to you. You can decrease the smoothness or you can increase the smoothness. Okay, so let's say I'm going to take it to the maximum, and then you guys know that I'm done. You can see so far I have changed the interval. I made my contour line very smooth, and then finally I changed the color of the major and minor contour. So I'm done. So when you're done, what you have to do is you hit OK. And,
Taher?
mhm.
Yeah, sorry, in the previous screen that you had on the information, do we have to change also the description?
This Oh yes, you're sorry. Your description, description is something you don't see. For sure, I can advise you to change description, but I can tell you, you won't see description until you go to this window. So even if you hit OK right now and you drop this menu, you won't see any description. You see point 0.5. But probably it's a good idea. Huh? So to remove any confusion, you can simply come here and you say also this is point 0.5 and this is 2.5. And again, if you wish, you can write the colors if you wish. Anyway, we're done. So if you hit OK, see what happens. If you drop this menu right now, we have added a brand new style which we can apply right now. To apply this style, make sure it is being selected, and then finally, let's go ahead and hit apply and OK. Okay, let's see. So you can see right now contour like the interval is zero point 0.5, and that's where we see lots of contour lines. Before it was 1 meter, so we have twice as we had before, because we kind of increased, sorry, we decreased our contour interval, which means we increased the number of the contour lines. That's one thing. Also, you can see my contour lines are smooth, and then finally you see the green and the blue. And those are the major and the minor contour. Okay, that is how we simply change and create a new style. Again, by now, every time you sit in my class, you get more and more familiar with the word style. And I need to remind you, in my class so far, you have seen style 4 times. I need to remind you, one, when we're able to change the point style. Number two, when we change the point label style. Number three is when we change the point table style. And today is number four, which is surface style. I can tell you, I guarantee you that anything in Civil 3D comes with a style where you have lots of control over how this element would appear on your drawing. Okay, so I think to progress the discussion, I will simply go back here to surface properties, and what I will do is I will go to contours and triangles, and I will simply create another style, and the target is to simply hide all the contour lines and show triangles only. We've done this last class, but unfortunately, I have never saved my file. If I have saved my file, guess what? You should be able to see this style here. I didn't, so I will do that in a minute. So I chose this close one, a very close one, contours and triangle. Come back to here and say copy. Number one is change name, change the name. And so this would be my name, triangles only. Then go to display, because all what I want to do is hide some of the elements. Please look at my screen. Only two elements. I'm going to see triangles together with the border. Typically, border is a common factor. So for any style you would do, any style, you need to show borders. Now what happened here is I'm done, I hit OK, and I'm done, hit OK. Now you can see here is my surface, and there is something we already discussed last class, which is about interpolation and extrapolation. Interpolation and extrapolation. And I think my conclusion is in surveying, interpolation is acceptable. If I'm asking what is the elevation of this point, you can see it tells me 90.137. And if you take a look, you will see this triangle, it has three nodes, and 89.11 and 91.44 and 89.89. You will see always the number that the software interpolated is somewhere in between the three numbers. Okay, because it assumes between the 3 points a three-dimensional flat face triangle. Okay, now this is called interpolation because I'm within my data. How about if I go here and I leave my cursor? The elevation here is 101.01. Please look up my screen. We said before that this elevation, we cannot trust it because it's outside our data. Okay, so what do we call this process? Called extrapolation. It's outside our data. In surveying, we just hate extrapolation. It's not acceptable because we don't have any data and simply it is wrong. So by this token right now, you guys understand that there is some areas of my surface will have to be eliminated. Will have to be eliminated. The good news is the software gives you the power to change and modify the surface. And this will be our next topic. So our next topic, it's going to talk about surface edits. So I will teach you. Next is surface edits. Can we play with the surface? Can we modify it? You can see by default the software will create this network of triangle. That's your 10. But the question is, can we, and is there any cases that I will have to intervene and change it? The answer is yes. There are some cases which you will learn today that you will need to interact with the surface and modify it. I think the first one is very clear, which is removing some of those lines and triangles. Obviously, in any convex area, please watch this. You can see this side is the convex and the other side is the concave. So always in surveying and Civil 3D, every time you have a convex, then you have a problem because the software will pick some points from this side connected with a very long triangle to the other side and create this area, which we know that this area, nobody went there, nobody big elevation in this area, and potentially this area is wrong. Now, time to show you how to do that. Let's do it. So if you want to access all the edits for the surface, then what you have to do is, and please watch me how I do it. So what you do is you click on the surface. So I can just bring my mouse and click on any element of the surface. So if you have a contour line, click on the contour line. If you have a triangle, click on the triangle. I will do that right now, but I'm going to ask you something. Please, as I hit with my mouse, I hit the surface, I want everyone to look at the ribbon. Look at the ribbon. Watch this, please. You can see the ribbon right now. It shows, the home tab. As I click on the surface, something is going to happen to the ribbon. Okay, I need some confirmation that some of you already saw what happened to the ribbon.
Yes. It
Okay,
highlighted blue.
it's not about the color, it's about the commands on the ribbon right now. I'll do it one more time. I'll do it one more time. So if you want to deselect, you just hit escape. If you hit on escape on your keyboard, it will deselect your surface. And again, one more time, I want all of you to look at my ribbon as I click on the surface. Please watch. So what you see here is something or very nice feature of Civil 3D. It has something called contextual ribbon. So what it does, once you click on any element on Civil 3D, Civil 3D is smart and will think probably he or she is trying to modify these elements. So what it does, it simply show you all the commands that you can apply to this element. Right now, we're clicking on a surface and simply the software is showing you all you can do with the surface. Now watch this. As soon as you click on the surface, you can see I have a ribbon, and this ribbon here, it simply shows you all the commands. Among them, edit surface. So watch this. So we have edit surface. If I click on edit surface, it drops a menu and it shows you a variety of things that you can manipulate and change your surface. Take a look, please, and try to understand how many operations that we can do. starting from the top by adding line or delete line or swap edge and so on and so forth. Okay, can anybody guess what the command should I use to eliminate some of those triangles? Can you take a good guess?
Delete line.
Thank you, sir. That is correct. So this command here, delete line, is the one. And Civil 3D is very handy because simply if you are not sure what to do is just bring your cursor, leave it for a second. It will show you something called the tool tab. And you can see, you can read. Delete line, what it does, it deletes a line from the 10 or grid surface. Okay, use this command to remove and then long, narrow triangles and so on. Okay, so that's exactly what I want. Delete lines. Please watch this. As I hit delete line, you can see I'm ready. The software is asking. One advice from experienced user of Civil 3D is, as you use Civil 3D, always watch the command line. Can anybody read for me what the command line is asking you right now? Command line, which is at the bottom of your interface.
Select edges.
Exactly. So right now the software is waiting. Where are the bad edges that you think they are bad? And I will remove them for you. So it looks like a selection, huh? Watch this. So there are many ways to do that. I'm going to show you some of them. Number one, for sure, you can do this. And you guys know what this is, huh? This is called crossing. In AutoCAD, once you draw anything from right to left, like so, from right to left, you can see the change, huh? So this one is left to right, and this one is right to left. You guys know that this is called crossing. So all you have to do is you can do this. You can see I'm just moving, and you can see if I keep going, probably it will remove one good triangle. So I'm going to go back a little bit. Watch this. So you can see if I do that, all the lines that they have been crossed by this window have been selected. And by the way, you can do individual. So I can zoom in, I can do individual. So this is, my selection. Okay, so probably you know all about this one. I think so. You know about crossing and you know individual selection. Here is something I bet that you know. There is something called the fence. Fence, okay? And the fence is very nice. In order for you to activate the fence, you type in F while you are within the command. So I will type in F in my keyboard, followed by enter. And see what happens. It allows me to draw any fence line. It's called fence line. I can go this way, this way, this way, this way. And guess what? Anything that this fence line crosses, it will be selected. Now, when we are done, you hit enter on your keyboard. So one hit space on your keyboard. Look at this, please. So now I have selected those by crossing. I also selected this guy by individual selection, and then those guy by fence. Maybe here I can do crossing. Maybe here I can do fence. Okay, until I am sure that these are the bad areas. Maybe we have some here. So here we go. I'm cleaning up all the convex side of my surface. Now I'm asking you, when we're done in AutoCAD, what do we do? When we finish selection in AutoCAD, what do we do?
Click enter or spacebar.
Okay, thank you so much. That's what I'll do right now. I'm going to click on enter or spacebar, and you can see. Do you see anything new? First of all, my surface have been updated. And remember that this was the boundary. A minute ago, the boundary went this way. After removing all the triangle, the surface have been updated and we're good now. I think so. I mean, maybe you can zoom in and do more cleaning. And sometimes the cleaning is very easy because it's very obvious that this area is wrong. But sometimes it's very, subjective. And maybe some of you will question, Tahir, should I remove this area? To be honest, the one who can answer this question is the surveyor. Maybe he will tell you, get rid of those few triangles. And so maybe we'll say, you know what, this area could be okay, like flat or something. But for sure, this area was completely off. Anyway, so far you have seen the first edit. And the first edit is by removing some of the triangles. Now, let me show you another edit, which is sometimes we need it. Watch this, please. So I'm going to come back here and click on the surface one more time. Can you guys guess what's going to happen to the ribbon? Can anybody tell me, as I click on the surface, what do you expect to the ribbon?
To change.
Okay, watch this. So I click here, you can see it has changed already and show me edit surface. You drop this menu and let's explore more commands. I can tell you from my experience, there are some commands which is very handy and very common used, which is delete line, but there are some other commands which is kind of rare to use. So please understand that when I focus on something, so that's based on my experience, those are the very frequent to use, and while others not really very common. So in this exercise here, I have here one command which sometimes very handy called raise slash lower surface. You guys can guess, look at the name and look at the description. So obviously this command based on the description, it just simply take your surface, lift your surface up or put it down by constant elevation. For example, I can move my surface up by 1 meter or maybe move my surface down by 1 foot. I know some of you by now will ask, wait, Tahir, you said before that surveying data is a holy data you cannot touch, because if you touch them, you know what happens, huh? If you touch a surveying point, you know what happens. You're moving things on reality, correct? That is what I said. And I will show you, even I said that there are some times where you need to lower your surface or maybe raise your surface. Please watch this. I'll give you one example. You guys know about topsoil? Anybody in this class knows about topsoil? Topsoil.
Yes.
So topsoil is something that's very well known. It's the top of top layer of your soil, and typically this topsoil layer, it's full of organic material and vegetation, and simply we don't like it because again, those organic material or vegetation, they are unstable, and we simply want to remove them from our site. Okay, let me ask you, when we do our survey and we place the rod, do we survey the top of the topsoil or the bottom of the topsoil?
The top of the topsoil.
Exactly, the top of the topsoil. So all the elevation we have is simply represents the top of the topsoil. While when we estimate the cut and fill, guess what? We have to simply take the topsoil out and then get it outside of my site because simply it's a bad soil. And then we start the cut and fill calculation from the bottom of the topsoil. Can we do that mathematically or on my software? Yes, you can. Because simply once you finish all your survey and you have a surface, and then you look at your geotechnical report where it says you have a topsoil of, let's say, 1 foot. So what can you do? Can anybody help me? What can you do to start your volume calculation, cut and fill, and after you remove your topsoil? This is something you can do on the software. So the answer is, do the survey now on top of the topsoil. However, on your calculation, just drop your surface by the thickness of your topsoil from the geotechnical report. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to show you very simple to do. All you have to do is, as I said, you click on the surface, the ribbon will change, you go from edit surface, and then finally go to raise lower. You click on this command, and it's as simple as the software asking you amount to be added to all elevations. I will come here and I'll say, you know what, minus 0.3. Minus 0.3, it means drop down my surface by almost 1 foot. Okay, so this what happens here is it's going to drop your surface by 0.3. If you want to raise, then what you do, you repeat the same command, but you add a positive number. Let's say you want to increase all the elevation by 10 centimeter, so you add 0.1. And I know some of you will say minus 0.3 makes sense. If you have a topsoil we can simply drop the elevation by 1 foot. So what are the cases we need to raise the elevation by 0.1 meters? I know it's very hard to understand, or maybe very hard to get an example. If you guys remember total station, we use a rod. We use a rod, and at the bottom of the rod, there is a wedge. A wedge. It's very hard to visualize right now because I have no photo, but at the tip of the rod, there is a wedge, and this wedge, you can disassemble. You can take it away. It's like a wedge. And in general, when you read a reading on the rod of 1.35, it is calibrated to measure from the tip of the wedge. This wedge over the years, maybe you left it left in the office, maybe it is lost. And what people do is they simply have a rod minus the wedge, so the wedge is missed. So simply all their elevation is wrong by a constant offset, which is simply the length of the wedge. If you cannot understand, fantastic. If not, just chill out. Okay, it's okay. Don't worry about it. But there are some cases where you can simply need to drop the surface, and some cases where you need to raise the surface, and that's why we have this option. There is one option here, or one other command, which I will explore in more details later on, called swap edges. Very important, but not now. Okay. Really, at this point of time, I want to show you something very interesting, which is I want you to look at my tool space. And you guys know that there is a dot here, and what this dot means. Can anybody tell me what this dot means? What does this dot on the tool space front of Boeing groups means? Okay, so for the sake of time, this means that in the surface definition, I have added some Boeing groups. And you can see I have no boundaries, I have no break lines, I have no contour lines, and so on. Watch this. So there is something called the edits. And front of the edits, there is another dot. And what this means, it means you have edited your surface. And the good news is the Civil 3D keeps track of all the edits. Watch this, please. So if you click on edits, like so, and look at the area below, can you guys read here? So this is a log. It logs all what you have done for the surface. What you have done is you delete multiple lines. That's number one. Number two, you lower and raise your surface by minus 0.3. This is a fantastic feature in Civil 3D. The reason why it's a fantastic feature, because simply if you change your mind and you want to reverse any of the edits, you can simply come here, mark the edit, and then take a right click. And you see what can you do with the edits? You can delete, which means when you delete one edit, it means you simply reverse the process. I know some of you will say, oh, Tahir, wait, that's easy. I can do undo, and I can get exactly to where I was before. You guys agree?
No.
No, that's true. This is better than undo, because simply you can see here all the edits are in the specific order, and in undo you have to go by the reverse fashion. So you have to undo number 5 and then for example, if you are at stage number 5 and you want to undo number 1, simply you have to undo all of them. So undo number 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. If you agree or you remember AutoCAD. Here, the beauty is, look at this. Although this was number 1, I edit my surface, delete some lines, and next I simply delete, I lower and raise my surface. Look at this. I can go to number 1 on the top of my list. I can right click and say delete. And what happened is software will confirm. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. So hit OK. So I know some of you will ask me, Tahir, there's nothing that has happened. I don't see my lines back. I want you to take a look for something very important. Do you see this yellow triangle on the tool space? So we have 2 of them. We have one front of EG, and then one under definition. And if you leave your cursor for a second, it tells you what does it mean. Can anybody read for me?
Surface is out of date.
Surface is outdated because we have done some changes. I'm going to show you how to get rid of this yellow and update your surface and make it up to date. As simple as you click on the surface name, right click, and you can see there are some commands. There is something here called rebuild, and there is something called rebuild automatic. And the difference is rebuild, it means rebuild my surface once, and rebuild automatic, it means anytime in the future there is a change, don't wait for me rather than going and rebuild your surface automatically. Now, I'm going to show you. If I build my surface automatically, you can see number one, look at this. The yellow triangle is gone. There is no yellow triangle. It means my surface is up to date. And again, look at my right side. Can anybody tell me the right side? What do you see? Anything strange? You see the triangle that I have removed back. It's over there. So all the convex area, we have our triangles back. So we have back. And that's why we have reversed the edit. Now I'm asking you right now, what if I go to edit? What is the only remaining edit? Raise / lower. I'm asking you, what if I delete this one right now? Do I have to rebuild my surface again? Would you expect to see the yellow triangle again?
No, because it's automatic.
Exactly, sir. So if I go here and say delete, what happens is it will confirm, yes, delete. But look at this. Do you see on front of my my surface name or the definition? You won't see any yellow triangle. The reason is the surface is not waiting for you because you set it to automatic. So every time in the future you do some changes, then the software will rebuild itself. Are you guys following?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to show you something which is very interesting, which is about boundaries. Boundaries. Okay, so boundaries is something you see it here. We will show you what does it mean boundary. So where is the current boundary of your surface right now? Probably, you know what, I can simply clean. I can do some formatting, for example, so you can see better. I'm going to change this to none and this to none and hit OK. So I hide my points. Now I'm asking you right now, what if you can see the current boundary is this green. What if I want to limit or trim my surface outside one area? Look at this. I'm going to draw my boundary. I'm going to use rectangle or a polyline, doesn't matter. I'm going to draw here a rectangle. And you know what? What I want to do, I want to trim my surface outside this rectangle here. Very, very simple. Let's give it a color. So I'm going to change the color of this rectangle here so you guys can see better. So I'm going to change the color to, let's say, blue. And I will simply make it thicker so you guys can see. So B edits, and then width, and then let's say 5. So my exercise going forward is I need to simply trim my surface outside this rectangle. It means my surface will be only the piece inside the rectangle. Anything outside, I want to remove. It's very, very simple. All we have to do is we need to add this blue line or polyline as a boundary. When you add this as a boundary, it simply remove everything outside the boundary. Let's do that. So very simple, very, very simple. You go to boundaries here on the tool space, like so. Then you right click and you can see it gives you the option to add boundary. So let's add boundary. Now for the boundary, there is a name. You can call it, for example, outer if you wish. So an outer boundary. And for the type, there are several types. There are 4 of them. There is some called outer or show or hide or clip data or data clip. Outer, it means you are going to remove everything outside because that's an outside boundary. So anything outside, we have to remove it. I think also you need to say hide. It means a kind of inner. It means you hollow the surface. In this exercise, I will choose outer, then hit OK. And watch this, please. As I hit OK, the software is asking you, select the object. So you want to add a boundary. So where is this boundary? Okay. So all you have to do is you click here on this guy, and you see what happens? You see what happens once you add boundary? Look at this. So everything outside this guy is gone. I mean, it's not gone actually, just not taken into consideration, but I think you can always reverse. I'm going to ask you guys one more time here. When I click on boundaries, you can see there is already one boundary added here. You can always click on the boundaries and right click, and I think somewhere here you can say delete. So if you want to reverse it, I think a couple of ways. I can come here and say delete, or I think it will be under edits. No, actually no. Boundary doesn't come under edit. So if I want to reverse the problem or the situation, you just click here and then right click and say delete. And when you say delete, hit OK, it goes back to where it was before. Are you following?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so guys, I think it's time for us to take a break. There is lots of information. The part after the break is very, very interesting. So I'll see you guys in 10 minutes.
Okay, I
If
have
you
a
have no
question.
question. Oh, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, for rising and lowering the elevation, like what if we want to just make changes for certain points, not all of the points?
That has to be done on the point level. So you will have to go to the point group and somehow isolate those points in this group here. Like for example, when I click on my point group, and then you can see, let's say I want to change the elevation of some points, you can do that here. And what happens is, once you change the elevation of these points, they are linked to the surface. I'm going to do it right now. For example, let's say I'll go to point 400, and then I will zoom to 400, which is here. And then what I will do is, I can zoom out. So this is the point 400. I will come here, and all of a sudden, I'm sorry, probably, you know what? I want to prove my point, so I'm going to change the style. I will change my style. So I will go back from triangle to contours 1.5 and 2.5. Hit OK. So you can see this is my style right now. And what I will do is I will just follow you. I'm going to go to my points, point number 400, and I will simply change the elevation from 80.5 to 90. And I want everyone to watch what happens. I'm going to edit, change manually the elevation of point 400 to 90. And I want everyone, don't forget about the 90. I want everyone to look at the surface. Watch this. Did you see what happens?
Yeah.
So what happens for point 400 was here. And once you edit the elevation, remember the surface is connected to this point group. So once you update an elevation on this point group, the surface will update automatically. For sure, if I set my build to build once, what happens? What do you think? If I go to my surface and say rebuild, not rebuild automatic, and then I go here and I change my 401, or let's say any other point, let's say this point here 80, I make it this 190. Still automatic. But however, what I want to say is, if the option was set to rebuild only, not automatic, still doesn't allow me. Probably somewhere else I can change it to rebuild. If it was set to rebuild only, like once, every time you change a point here, it will give you this yellow triangle. It means your surface is not up to date. And then what you have to do is rebuild again. Did I answer your question?
So like we have to like insert the point groups by different categories, and like we can make changes according to it, right?
You can categorize your
Because
points.
like
Go ahead.
yeah, because like if you make changes with the current file, then like it will make changes for everything, right?
It
Because
will update your surface.
yeah, it's a bunch of like all of the points like for 400 to like all of files that you inserted.
As I said, if you wish, you can edit all the points here. If you change any point in this point group, remember the surface is linked to the point group. So once you do any change here, the surface will echo and update. Okay, so any other question before we give you a break?
What was the command for the fence point, please?
You mean when you delete some of the triangles?
Yes.
So while you are within the command, while you are within the selection, then you type in F, letter F for family on your keyboard, then hit by enter. And then this will get you into the fence selection. So it's not a separate command. Within the selection, you type in F followed by enter.
When I do that, it brings fillet.
So, you have to be within the selection. So F in general, F outside any command, if you type in F while you are not doing anything, F, it means fillet, like fillet radius. So you make a radius between two lines. But if you type in F while you are within the command, when you delete the lines, then it will take you into the fence selection.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So we'll see you guys in 10 minutes. We'll see you sharp at 11. Thank you.